Hey everybody, Shay here. I've dug up an old vlog from October 2022, which was a mix of a bunch of updates for the channel that it was on back in the day. But there was a bit of a rant in there that I think is extremely relevant, especially based on what happened earlier in 2024 with channels like Matt Pat's Game Theory, along with other channels messaging that they were going to be retiring from YouTube because of X, Y, and Z. And again, those reasons could be anything based on the subjective experience of each of those channel content creators, right? But this rant is relevant today because back at the end of 2022, I had already spent 1.5 to 2 years going through my own experiences with smaller channels, of course, multiple experiences and experiments along the way. I was really delving into what the data was doing to the dynamic between content creators and the audience. And with the new parroted Mr. Beastification comments such as the audience is the algorithm or the algorithm is the audience, I believed back in 2022 that this was going to lead down a slippery slope, which would basically sever the more human connection that a content creator had with their audiences, let's say 5 to 10 years ago. To some degree, it's worth thinking about what happens when a content creator is looking at an audience not as human beings watching their content, but as data that's informing a system that's going to get their content to spread to more people, like the people watching their content. There's something to be said about the old world YouTube connection. Even though it was bilateral parasocial dynamics, there was still something taken away by both sides that I believe was more human. And so is the trend of people leaving YouTube possibly tied to this degradation of dynamic? I don't know, but this is 2024 Shay talking, and it's always easy to retroactively look at something and make it fit whatever biased narrative it is that I'm personally going through, but I'm kind of seeing explode on the 2024 YouTube platform. This was part of a much larger video that I clipped so that there was a cohesive narrative around this rant, and maybe you'll take away some thoughts or you'll find some correlations along the way as well. So enjoy the old vlog. I'm passing you off to 2022 Shay. General update because of all the hijinks that have ensued, where I basically split content off into multiple channels and then I amalgamated them all into one channel, which used to be my gaming channel, XEI Gaming. I converted it to a variety channel by me moving things around and splitting channels and then amalgamating them into a separate channel, then taking them off that channel and spreading that content back out. I got to re-upload the stuff and restart all of that views and engagements. So I'm not really playing the system. I'm actually compromising myself by doing these kinds of things. But I am also compromising the community that I built along the way across the multiple channels, and I get that. But I do want to get things right while the channels are all small enough without catastrophic outcomes. Generally, over the last 2 years in particular, I've been really getting into the data behind YouTube. I'm kind of fascinated by how broken it seems. Gaming in particular was a hobby for me, but I just loved creating content, you know? But at the end of the day, I needed to evaluate the data more than I needed to create the content, I guess, is where my mind state was at. I've learned a lot about what the AI is doing, what I think. I had a lot of speculations up front. I built up a lot of hypotheses. I've created dossiers on channels that I've been breaking down and deconstructing just to kind of figure it out, but I can't, and no one can. Not even the experts out there can figure out what YouTube algorithm is doing. You know, you have comments like from Mr. Beast that I've come across recently with the YouTube product manager for the algorithm component or aspect of YouTube. And you know, there was one comment made which is replace the word algorithm with audience. So it's not that your channel is suffering because of the algorithm, it's a channel suffering because of the audience, you know, because a lot of the AI is right now, it's assessing what the audience enjoys watching, and then it goes and looks for viewers that have similar interests as the viewers that are watching your content and that have high retention. So there's a massive relationship between the audience member that consumes content and how channels get spread out there in the search and discovery system, because the AI is actually looking for people like the viewer. And so the content creator doesn't have as much control over things. And I just see some stuff that's, it's sketchy. Just there's some stuff that doesn't make any sense post-COVID era. But during COVID as well, and I know the audience has changed as well along the way. The content creators do have to kind of navigate that, and you have to evolve with those times. You have to become content creators for the audiences, which I get. But the whole YouTube, the you part of YouTube, you know, that existed 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even, I would say, it was the content creator kind of coming into this platform because they want to kind of share the stuff that they love. And that was the primary, the motivator, you know what I mean? But, you know, there's the more corporate channels, and then, of course, the high production channels. There are people that will put high production value into the content they create, even if it's that they enjoy it, but they're going to put more value into it because they got more time, they got more money, they get whatever the reasons are, right? Like I remember the early days. 2010 was an interesting era. 2010 to 2015 was a whole different YouTube, you know? And so I've been analyzing some smaller channels. So channels under 1,000, channels under 500. Now I was lucky enough to tag a couple, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that end up hitting what I call a catalyst moment. The search algorithm sends out the content to the right target audience that consumes it, engages with it, and then it creates a massive spike inside that particular content piece. And you have what I call the catalyst moment. And then, you know, if you're a content creator that is prepared for that, so, you know, it's not so much luck, although there's a bit of that. The luck is the discovery system kicking, like going here, give it a try, right? And they do that to small channels. I validated this across multiple channels, including my own and outside ones. You're given the luck, right? You're given that spike opportunity where the AI is like, okay, now I found a pool of people that might have similar interests. And then you have to be ready, right? It's a preparation meets opportunity, right? And that's luck, right? So you have to be prepared when the opportunity presents itself. You got to go for it. You got to double down, triple down, quadruple down. Here's where I'm struggling in the last year and a half, 2 years. I try something and it spikes and I'm like, okay, wait. So I started the channel because of A, but the test of B, a different type of content that wasn't part of the mission statement, you know, but that spikes. I was like, well, I mean, the way you should do this is now you have to pivot to B. You got to do B, you know? So I end up having a lot of people on the channel, subscribers, that don't then view the other content that I produce, which then sends negative signals to YouTube, which then doesn't make you grow. You know what I mean? So there's like this cascading effect of you attracting the wrong audience, right? I mean, it's all good audience, but it's wrong in the sense of the data and what gives you reach and discoverability opportunities. And so the option there for me is like, well, I should be double down, triple down, quadrupling down on what's growing the channel. So I should be doing only that, right? That you part. The whole, like, you come to YouTube because you want to share an experience, but then you're kind of moved into wherever YouTube needs you to go so that you can create high performing content. Not that you're going to love it as much anymore, because again, what I mean by that is like, you might love it. And those are the 1%, right? The ones that are going to get successful because they still love it. They're going to pivot. They're going to double, quadruple down, right? And then they're going to take that off and they're just going to roll with that channel direction. And those ones are going to super succeed, right? But then there's the ones, and I've tracked a couple of these too, you know, where it's like they'll pivot. And you can tell that's not where their heart was, because I'll go right to the beginning of their channel. I watch their vlogs. I watch their milestone videos. I know what they're talking about, right? I can create a profile, a persona on them. And then when I see what makes them blast off, you can sense an energy there's something missing. And we're talking about channels that had gotten into the 5 digits, right? Well on their way to the 6 digits. And I'm like, they're not enjoying themselves. So they're going to, you know, that YouTube is creating a scenario where if they don't pivot and do the content that YouTube's audience, the audience that YouTube has corralled their way, you got to serve that audience, you know? And it's like customer first routine, but it's like, but now you're turning the hobby, the thing you want to kind of enjoy, you're turning it into a job because you're going to do it because you're going to want that ad revenue, right? If that's what you want, that's your mission statement. That becomes your primary objective. You have your acceptance criteria that you got to do something to make the money. And so you're going to treat the thing like a job and move forward. But that's very different. Those are the two things that are very different to me. And I am having a very hard time bringing those two things together. And driving my experience on YouTube. I just want to put things online because I want to. And I've deleted it over the last couple of years. I've deleted this stuff. I've regretted it. I've migrated to other places. I've lost comments along the way. Like, I've kept them all. I migrate the comments along the way, but it's not the same. Especially from an engagement and a data perspective, it's not the same. So I want to try to stop doing that. And by try, I mean I need to stop doing that. And treat it in a way that I'm at least pivoting my strategy around in a way that at least compromises to some degree with what I've determined is going on with the data side of things, with the algorithm side of the audience. Replace the word algorithm with audience, what the audience is deciding. And I do get that. I mean, I'm going to be like, I'm kind of like talking tongue in cheek about all this because I do think it's kind of silly. I do think that comment is kind of shitty and it's silly. The replace the word algorithm with audience. There's something broken about that. I know it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. And I would need to deconstruct that further and be able to like talk about why I feel subjectively that something's broken there. but I think there's an objective layer to that as well. Oh, I think I might have had the spark there. It just happened. So in real time, there's a recommendation system behind the entire YouTube and Google system, Netflix, like Amazon, anything that recommends things to you. If you look that up, you're going to learn a lot about how these systems work. And yes, it is audience driven. Audience behavior generates all of this data pool of information that then allows this AI to start figuring out where it's going to recommend content to certain groups of people with like interests. The problem with this is you're removing the human element, the connection element behind you and the audience, the content creator and the audience. When you start thinking about the algorithm as the audience, and therefore the audience as the algorithm. And I'm saying this and I'm like, and I know that this is kind of the right way to do it if you want to grow and succeed. But that's the part I'm having problems with, because it's missing a part of that. It's missing a piece of what YouTube used to be before this kind of sensibility. You know, I've been a content creator for a very short period of time at the end of the day, right? But when I was a consumer of the content, it felt different. When I searched for stuff, I found different kinds of channels. Now when I search for things, I tend to see the same channels. Why am I seeing the same channels? I haven't clicked on them the first time or the second or the 10th or the 100th time. Why do I keep seeing the same channel? Do you think like one time I'm going to break? Because here's the thing. They do. They do. Why do they? Because they have the data. Because YouTube is a massive data pool, and they do know they'll break people, and they'll click it, and then, oh, now you've converted, and they've converted. You didn't even know you needed to be converted or you wanted to be converted, but that's why I'm having those experiences, and I know. They know because they have the data. I can complain about it. I can say that there's something subjectively missing in the experience now because of it, right? But at the end of the day, data is objective, and I know they have the data. So like, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. In the direction they're going is because they're a company. They got to make money. You do, right? And if you want to succeed and you want to, take a part of that piece of that money, you got to do what YouTube expects you to do in order for you to both kind of win together, right? Now, if you just want to create content and have fun doing it, that is the way to go. I mean, just have fun doing it, right? And then all of a sudden, just do videos like this, where it's like, I'm not really entirely sure I care. Roger, I should care, but have I made sense? But at the same time, I just want to put this out there as maybe a conversation starter to have people think about their experience on YouTube as a viewer. So when you're watching content, like kind of thinking about what it's kind of feeding that data, right? And that the masses do morph over time. Every 2-3 years, you're going to have a new generation come in that's just going to watch content differently, and it's going to morph the algorithm again, or the audience. I think the behavior has changed in the audience, right? So, and then you got the shorts videos that it's like, why are they on this channel? They should have just released a whole different app for this. They pushed it for years, and they're going to keep pushing it because they got to do the TikTok competition now, I mean, this is the playground we're all in as content creators and as consumers of the content. Whether we like it or not, it keeps happening because it's successful. That is like, you might not like what that sentence said, like what that means. But I don't. But it is true because I'm a data person and I know it has to be true because it's data driven, It can't just be bad mistakes back and forth, although I do think that there are mistakes that can be driven by false positives in data, the snake eats snake scenario. If you keep pushing something, of course it's going to succeed more, right? So if you keep pushing shorts, of course the data is going to keep looking like it's better and better and succeeding better and better. Well, why? Because you're pushing it in front of everybody more. You know what I mean? Like, so you're creating a positive loop that might not necessarily be representative of the subjective opinions that I've seen almost across the board, from small channel to large channel consumer to content creator. Like, I just hear people complaining about this thing, but it's here to stay. Why? Because it is succeeding. For YouTube, I've seen some of the numbers behind it. It's massive. Like, it's getting massive engagement, which again, I think it's low value engagement. I think it's low value results. But from a YouTube perspective, it's bringing people onto the platform. There should be a space on YouTube for people who just want to create and consume content in a different way than what is being served today. And I'm not sure what that means. I feel like it could have been split, like a different apps for different content types. But it's like YouTube just like smashing things together. They want to do streaming to compete with Twitch. I do think they have a better platform for streaming, even though I haven't done it. But I've seen it. I think it's better integrated. I hate Twitch as an experience. I hate it. I hate it as a consumer. I can't stand it. And I enjoy the YouTube one. So I do think they will win that one. But again, do I think that it needed to be all the same thing? I mean, I'm not sure, right? I feel like maybe they could have split that up, or they just could have done it differently. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. But I'm just giving you a /update rant video because I felt like turning the camera on and talking. And I feel like I miss this. I miss this, man. At this point, it's sort of, this will be the variety channel. I want to make it more talky. I want to talk about things, you know what I mean? While showing it as well, and experimenting and just putting things out there for people to kind of just start conversations around. So that's the kind of mission statement. And hopefully it's also the jumping on point for other people who stumble upon this video and you think that it'd be something cool. This will evolve, I guess, together, right? Because like, we'll see. I'm also willing to have, let the conversations guide it as well. Okay. In the comments below. So I'll catch you in the next stack of episodes. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.